Observation and reflection. If you want to connect to things around you or to yourself, you need to actually observe it and then think about it. And a lot of people don't take time to do this stuff anymore. People are like running in their life. You know what happens when you run? You don't see what's happening around you all the time. And if you're with a person and all you're thinking about is what you want from them or just to check something off of a list, you're not going to have the time to actually see and observe lots of little subtle things that you can connect with. So whenever you're doing this, really think about this and it will help you a lot.
Hi there, Adrian here, and this is a video from a Zoom session that we do. We do these Zoom sessions every Sunday and we take questions and answers from the audience, some of our students, some of our members. We never know what questions are coming up, so I'm always excited to do these sessions and I hope to see you at one of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and check out the other playlists that we have. Thank you, enjoy.
Connecting is what creativity is important to creativity. And if you don't have that knowledge, you can't connect it to create these new solutions. So you really do need to know some stuff in lots of varied areas. So now we get to connecting. Connecting is a relationship in which something is linked to something else. That's the most basic thing. This is an image. I wonder if anybody in the chat room can tell me if they know what this image is of. Last one was a feather boa. It is, Maria. This is an actual image of neurons connecting. I'm pretty sure that they made them look lit, but they are actually neurons that are connecting. And your brain has all of these little neurons and they're constantly connecting. It's very similar to root systems on plants and trees. They connect. But in our paths in life, the way we can connect is to make sure we have as many options open in many things as possible. So when I was looking at this presentation, I said, how is it that I connect with so many different peoples in so many ways? And it's because I have learned a whole bunch of different things. So when somebody comes up to me and they say, oh, I like to kayak, I'm like, oh, I love to kayak. Oh, I love making art. Oh, I do artwork all the time. I love photography. I used to teach photography. When I have all those things, I immediately have a connection with them. And this also helps with the creativity. This is brain imaging, actual scientific brain imaging. And you can see all of these different neurons and all the different connections and how they're overlapping. So if you start thinking about life the way it is, the more options you have, the more you can be creative because you can connect them and the more connections you can make. So if you start thinking of yourself as a magnet with lots of different outreaches, you're going to be able to connect to more people. What are some tools? How can we go about this? When I'm talking to somebody, there's a couple of things that I noticed. This goes with NLP too. The first thing is intelligences. Now, I've put all the sources at the end of this, and ironically, this diagram comes from an article where the guy is basically saying multiple intelligence aren't a thing, like from an actual psychological journal. And it's funny because educators talk about multiple intelligences. Whatever you technically want to think of them, these could be abilities, intelligences, whatever you choose. I don't really care. What I care about is these are different ways to relate to people, all of them, and to yourself and to the world around you. So a naturalist will relate through nature. An intrapersonal is going to go through their feelings and their attitudes. Somebody who's visual spatial is going to be looking at art and how you are and honestly, how you dress, how you present yourself. So in NLP, we learn about this kind of stuff, but it's on an even grander scheme when you're trying to connect. The other thing you have to remember in this process with connecting and creativity, I love this. Scott Adams is the guy who created the Dilbert cartoons. And I use this quote all the time with my students. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. And your life is your biggest work of art. So if you think of that, it's going to help you to get over the fears, which we'll go over a little later. So now mentally, there's different ways that I was looking at this and I'm like, well, what do I do? How is it that I connect? The first thing is a connection mindset. You have to actually want to connect. It's like whenever I meet somebody, whenever I look at something, I automatically say, how can that connect? You know, so I was talking to Maria at an event and I said, oh, you're really good at talking about professional connections. Maybe you could help me with this in my presentation. I'm always looking for that. So I call this a connection mindset. I don't think about how different I am from others. I am always looking for the similarities. I think that this would solve a lot of problems in the world if people would do this. So when I've come to countries, I don't get culture shock because when I go to a place, I see all the ways that it's similar to things I've already experienced. Instead of looking at all the differences, those things help me to connect to the place. And yes, then I can appreciate the differences because my baseline thinking is the connection. The other thing I equate to baseline thinking is I try to simplify everything. People who know me in the courses and stuff, most of you who know me on here, this is what I do. You will say 10 sentences and I'll bring it down to like a simple phrase or a sentence. By doing that, by simplifying things, it makes it easier to connect to those simple things. If you try to connect to all of those complicated feelers, it's too much. So if you can go in with a sense of, I want connection, and then look down beneath everything to a baseline, it's much easier to connect. So I can look at people here in China and I can see all kinds of differences. A lot of people talk about, I don't know, like behavior and lines. Let's talk about that because people always complain about that. So they're like, oh, people in the country will have problems with staying in line and all this stuff. And then I'll think back and I'll be like, yeah, I've had people cut me off in lines pretty much everywhere. I'm connecting. My baseline is that's kind of a normal thing because people kind of don't think sometimes and they want to get what they want. Okay. And then it allows me to go one step further and empathize because those people who are probably doing the cutting in the line in any country, it's because they want something really badly and probably worse than I do because I'm not going to cut in the line. So then I'm able to empathize and get over it. And then I can connect to them instead of saying, oh, you're trying to cut in front of me in line. And then that's putting me apart from people. So it's a different way to think. You can choose to try it and see how it goes for you. It is a little more peaceful, I'll be honest, for me. Next, observation and reflection. If you want to connect to things around you or to yourself, you need to actually observe it and then think about it. And a lot of people don't take time to do this stuff anymore. People are like running in their life. You know what happens when you run? You don't see what's happening around you all the time. And if you're with a person and all you're thinking about is what you want from them or just to check something off of a list, you're not going to have the time to actually see and observe lots of little subtle things that you can connect with. So whenever you're doing this, really think about this and it will help you a lot. The next thing is intention. I talked to some of the people on this chat about this as well. So when I go into a networking event, networking is not easy for me. I'll go on record here publicly. I am a social introvert. I seem very, very poised and I love people because I'm social, but it takes a lot of energy for me. So when I go into an event to help keep myself grounded, I say to myself in networking, I want a person who can do this. I need a person who can do this. Universe, bring me those people. And they happen in like 5 to 10 minutes. It's actually quite crazy. But then it's awesome because I've reached it and I've connected to those people. And I've also connected to the universe who's helping me to give that. So that's a different kind of thing. So intentions are important. They're also important to connect with yourself. We just had a new moon last night. So those people were into that. Apparently, I've been told by people that this is the time that you make intentions for the month, right? So make an intention for yourself. For me, it's to actually take better care of myself because I'm running myself too ragged. Not that anybody here does that, I'm sure. So that is going to be my intention. And that is a way that I'm connecting with myself. I'm connecting with my needs, my desires. So that's intentional. interests. The more fun stuff you do, the more people can relate with you. If you've never seen the movie Yes Man, that is it's with Jim Carrey. And he is tasked that he has to say yes to everything. So he learns Korean and he learns all of these different things, and he connects to people he would never connect with. And this really, really, really changes his whole mindset. And then in the end, when he gets to where his destiny is, all of those weird, seemingly unconnected things come together. I think those of us who are on here, a lot of us travel. I think you already know this, because travel is one of those things where you are forced to use every intelligence and every kind of interest that you have to connect to that place and to that experience. But this really helps with people, because if I have somebody who likes music, I do music. Somebody who likes art, I can do that. Somebody who likes working out, I like lifting weights and kickboxing. If somebody likes to be outdoors, I like hiking and kayaking. I have all of these things and interests, and I have experience in them, so we can connect on that level. And then eventually I'll learn all kinds of things that are different from me, but we have that baseline connection. And then the last thing is I have on this list, there's tons more, but these are some basics. Meditation and mindfulness. Not only does this help you to be in touch and connected to the present moment and your spirit and your soul, if you believe in this, it helps you to connect to your body. Just like in that breath work, you're connecting to your surroundings. The air that's with you becomes a part of you. That is a connection. And being that grounded helps you to connect with a lot of other people, even people who don't meditate.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live, free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.